Can a stranger's gentle words break through 3 years of silence in a child's heart? This is Story Loom, bringing you stories that touch the soul. The sunlit playground was full of laughter, but Olivia Hayes' 7-year-old daughter sat silently on the swing, her lips pressed together like they always were. For 3 years, she hadn't spoken a single word. Olivia had given up hope until a man she'd never seen before knelt in front of her little girl, gently touched her chin, and then, with a finger resting lightly near her mouth, asked her a question so softly it barely carried over the wind. Her daughter's eyes widened, and the single word she spoke next made Olivia freeze. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit subscribe to Story Loom for more videos like this. Let's begin. Olivia had brought her daughter Emily to the playground that morning out of desperation. Doctors, therapists, specialists, none of them had managed to draw out Emily's voice since the accident 3 years ago. Olivia told herself it was just another Saturday, but inside she was drowning in the hopeless repetition of silence. Emily's small hands gripped the swing chains loosely, eyes following the other kids but never joining them. Olivia sat on the nearby bench, phone in hand but not looking at it, pretending she wasn't scanning the crowd for pitying stares. What hidden pain does this man carry that lets him connect so deeply with a silent child? Stay with Story Loom to find out. Then she saw him, mid-30s, rugged in a way that didn't look crafted, wearing a faded navy hoodie and jeans that had seen better days. He was pushing a boy about Emily's age on the tire swing, laughing with a deep, warm sound that felt like it didn't belong to a stranger. The boy's laughter was wild and free, the kind of sound Olivia missed more than she could say. When the swing slowed, the man caught her watching and offered a polite nod. Most strangers looked away when they saw Emily's blank expression, but not him. Instead, he walked over with his son trailing behind. "Hey there," he said softly, crouching so his eyes were level with Emily's. "Mind if we say hi?" Emily didn't move. Olivia opened her mouth to intervene, but something about the way he waited, without rushing, without pressure, made her stop. He extended his hand toward Emily, palm up. She looked at it for a long moment, then lifted her small hand and set it in his. His smile deepened, and he glanced at Olivia briefly, as if asking for silent permission before continuing. "You know," he said gently, "my son told me the slide here is only for the bravest kids. I told him I've met braver." His voice lowered, almost conspiratorial. "Want to know how I can tell?" Emily's lips parted just slightly. He moved his finger to lightly tap the tip of her chin, then paused, waiting again. Olivia held her breath. And then, in the smallest, clearest whisper, Emily said, "How?" Olivia's heart slammed into her ribs. The man's smile was slow and certain, like he'd known it would happen all along. Olivia was frozen. 3 years of silence. And now, just like that, Emily had spoken. Not in a dream, not in therapy, but here, in the middle of a playground to a complete stranger. The man didn't make a big scene. He didn't gasp or call attention to it. Instead, he leaned in, his tone still calm and warm. "Because," he said, "brave kids don't need to be the loudest. They just speak when it matters." Emily blinked, at him, as if weighing his words. Her fingers tightened around the swing chains. "What's your name?" she asked, barely louder than before. Olivia's throat tightened so hard she almost couldn't breathe. The man chuckled softly. "I'm Jack, and this is my son, Mason." The boy beside him gave a shy little wave, his hair messy from the wind. Emily glanced at Mason, then back to Jack. Her lips moved again, hesitant, like the words had to crawl their way out, but she managed. "I'm Emily." Jack's smile grew, and Olivia noticed the way his eyes softened, like this moment meant something to him, too. "Nice to meet you, Emily," he said. "Now, can I tell you a secret about this playground?" Emily nodded. Just barely. Jack leaned closer, lowering his voice. "The best slide isn't the big one over there. It's the little one behind the sandbox. It's faster because the sun warms it up." Emily's brows lifted, curious. Olivia realized she hadn't seen that look, pure, unguarded interest, in years. "Want to try it?" Jack asked. Emily hesitated, then glanced at Olivia. Olivia swallowed the lump in her throat and managed to nod. "Go ahead, sweetie." Jack didn't grab her hand or guide her like a fragile thing. He simply walked beside her, letting her set the pace. Mason ran ahead, pointing out the slide. Emily followed him, her steps cautious but deliberate. Olivia stayed on the bench for a moment, watching them disappear around the sandbox, the sound of faint laughter drifting back. She realized her hands were shaking. It wasn't just that Emily had spoken. It was how easily this man had reached her, without pressure or pity. And Olivia had no idea who he was. When they returned a few minutes later, Emily was smiling. Actually smiling. She climbed onto the swing again, cheeks flushed. Jack stayed a moment longer, leaning toward Olivia. "She's got a lot to say," he said quietly. "She just needs someone to ask the right way." Olivia found her voice. "How did you do that?" He shrugged lightly, but there was something in his eyes, a shadow of a story he wasn't ready to share. "Sometimes, kindness is the only language people understand." And then Mason tugged his sleeve, and they started to leave. But Olivia wasn't about to let him walk away without knowing more. Olivia's instinct screamed at her. This wasn't some random man she could just thank and forget. Jack had reached into her daughter's locked-away world and pulled her voice out like it was the most natural thing in the world. She stood from the bench. "Jack, wait." He paused, Mason holding his hand. The breeze tugged at his hoodie, and for a second, Olivia thought she saw a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. She stopped herself from blurting out the dozen questions rushing through her mind. "Would you maybe have a coffee with us? My treat. Her voice cracked. "I haven't heard her speak in 3 years. Jack's jaw tightened ever so slightly. He looked down at Mason, then back at Olivia. "We don't usually do coffee shops, but there's a little diner on Oak Street. It's quiet." Olivia nodded quickly. "Perfect. I'll follow you." Emily's eyes lit up in a way Olivia hadn't seen in years. "Can Mason come in our car?" she asked, the words spilling out like she'd been saving them. Jack smiled at her, that gentle, grounding smile. "Maybe another time, kiddo. Today we'll ride together." They met again 15 minutes later at the diner, a retro place with red booths and the smell of fresh pie in the air. Mason slid into the booth across from Emily, and for a moment, Olivia just stared at them, amazed by how easily her daughter was, leaning forward, whispering something to him. Jack ordered black coffee, nothing else. Olivia noticed his hands, scarred, calloused, but steady. She couldn't ignore the faint limp when he shifted in his seat. "So," she said carefully, "how did you know what to say to her?" Jack's gaze dropped to his coffee. "My sister stopped talking when we were kids. After our dad left, everyone thought she was broken. She wasn't. She just didn't trust people anymore." Olivia swallowed. "And you got her to talk." His lips quirked. "I didn't get her to do anything. I just listened until she wanted to answer." He glanced up at Emily. "Kids know who's safe." Mason giggled suddenly, and Emily laughed. Really laughed. The sound made Olivia's chest ache. Then the waitress came by with refills, and Jack's hand shifted on the table. His sleeve pulled back, revealing a thin, faded hospital band around his wrist. It was old, frayed, but still there. Olivia frowned. "Were you recently in the hospital?" Jack slid his sleeve back down. "Something like that." There was weight in his voice, too much to ignore, and Olivia decided right then she wasn't going to. Olivia waited until Mason and Emily were distracted by the slice of chocolate pie the waitress set down between them before leaning forward. "Jack, you don't owe me anything, but whatever's going on, I feel like it matters, especially if you can reach Emily like that." He stared into his coffee like it might hold an escape. For a long moment, the only sound was the clink of forks as the kids shared their dessert. "Finally," he said quietly. "I got out of the hospital a month ago. VA rehab. I was a paramedic in the Army. 2 tours in Afghanistan. On my last run, we hit an IED. My leg took the brunt. My best friend didn't make it." Olivia's throat tightened. "I'm sorry." Jack's jaw flexed. "After that, I couldn't stand the noise. Crowds, sirens, even the TV. Mason and I moved into a small place on the edge of town. I started volunteering at parks, helping kids. I don't know, feel safe again. I guess it's selfish. It helps me, too." Olivia glanced at Emily, who was giggling as Mason made a whipped cream mustache. "That's not selfish," she said, softly. "That's extraordinary." Pause for intensity. Can one moment of kindness spark a life-changing connection? Keep watching Story Loom to see how this bond transforms them all. Jack looked at her then, something raw and unguarded in his eyes. "Most people don't think so. My resume is just full of blank years and medical notes. Nobody wants to hire the guy with a limp." Olivia hesitated. She wasn't just any mother. She was the CEO of a healthcare tech firm, a powerful one. But she never mixed her personal life with her work, especially when it came to Emily. Still, she found herself saying, "Maybe they're not the right people. I could—" She stopped, realizing how it might sound. Jack shook his head slightly. "You don't owe me anything. You've got your own life, your own world." He smiled faintly. "And from the looks of it, a daughter who's about to talk your ear off." Emily turned then, cheeks flushed, and tugged on Olivia's sleeve. "Can Mason come to the park with us tomorrow?" Olivia blinked, stunned again at the casual way her daughter now spoke. Jack chuckled. "We'll see, kiddo." But Olivia's mind was already working because something told her that if she didn't keep Jack in their lives, she'd regret it for the rest of her days. The next morning, Olivia woke to the sound of something she hadn't heard in years. Emily humming in her room. Not a full song, just a soft, content little tune. It hit Olivia so hard she had to sit on the edge of her bed for a moment, just breathing it in. By mid-morning, they were back at the playground. Jack and Mason were already there, tossing a worn football back and forth. Emily didn't hesitate. She ran to them, calling out, "Mason, throw it to me!" Olivia just stood there, her heart swelling with every shouted word. 3 years of silence, gone like fog in sunlight. She walked over to Jack, who was leaning on the fence watching the kids. "You have no idea what this means to me," she said. He glanced at her, brow furrowing. "I think I do. I've seen what it looks like when the light comes back on in someone's eyes." They watched the kids for a moment, laughter ringing through the air. Then Olivia took a breath. "Jack, I run a company that develops communication devices for people with speech impairments. But lately, I've realized technology can't replace what you have, a way of reaching people that can't be taught." "Jack," Olivia said, firmly. "No, listen. I want to hire you not as a charity case, as someone who can train our team in ways we can't learn from manuals. We need someone who understands the human side." Jack's eyes narrowed slightly, searching her face. "You'd put your name on someone like me?" "I'd put my company on someone like you," she said without hesitation. For a moment, he didn't speak. Then Mason came running up, laughing, and Emily right behind him, cheeks flushed, voice bright. Jack looked at them, and Olivia saw the exact moment his defenses broke. "You're sure?" he asked quietly. "I've never been more sure," she said. He nodded slowly. "All right. but only if you let me buy the first round of coffee when I get my first paycheck." Olivia laughed, and for the first time in years, it felt real and unburdened. As the kids ran off again, Jack glanced at her with a small, almost shy smile. "You know, I think Emily might not be the only one finding her voice again." And Olivia realized he was